So we were talking before we started shooting a podcast about like things that we've been doing individually to hold ourselves back, and I think most of what this podcast is about is trying to either talk to someone and get through a situation, or put some wisdoms or things out into the people that they can use in their own lives. So I think this topic is something that most people deal with at some point.
Yeah,
is
bro.
living up to their full potential, self-destructive behavior, negative habits, those kind of things.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to unpack, but I think it really just starts with I at least one of the newer things that I've recognized, because again, like I was telling Chris, like we all have issues, we all have bad habits, we all have flaws, we all have stuff, but I think we feel this pressure that we have to address it right then. We have to address it faster, and because we need to get to perfection, right? I think even the idea of striving for perfection stresses a lot of people out.
Of course it does.
And I think, but nobody talks about that because people tend to say the opposite. People tend to say strive for perfection. And how do you strive for perfection? You look at all your flaws, and you not pick apart, but you just go down the list and you try to address each one of them, right? And I think the subconscious thought of the fact that like we're not going to be here forever turns that into a pressure thing, because now you're trying to, at least this is how I feel, because now you're trying to fix yourself, quote unquote, fix yourself and address all of your problems before your time is up, right?
Gotcha.
And again, I don't think that we consciously think of that, but I think that we definitely feel like we just have to be the best person that we can be, which we should, and we think that we just put pressure on ourselves on how we're going to get there, and we need to figure out how we are going to become the best version of yourself. And I think we have it backwards, where I honestly think that the best version of yourself is just accepting the fact that you have issues with yourself. And I think that when you just say, you know what, this is what's wrong with me, when you accept it, I think you then go through life subconsciously fixing it, and like in every action that you do. So for example, if you say, okay, I have anger issues,
that's a real thing,
and you say you say to yourself, and you're like, I have anger issues, instead of saying I have anger issues and I need to, you make a list of like, I need to do this and I need to do this and I need to do this to fix it, right? You have a list of things that you have to do, and that can be daunting in itself, right? And I think that there's something to say that whenever you get into a situation and you already know in your mind, I have anger issues, and you get into a situation, maybe you're on the basketball court and somebody trips you, but you know in your mind that you have anger issues, that voice is going to say you have anger issues, and you're not going to do what you used to do before you knew you had anger issues. You know what I mean? Yeah, you're not gonna, if you don't know that you have anger issues, then you're just gonna, throw hands, you know what I mean? But if that voice is saying you have anger issues, you're gonna think twice before you do what you've always done. You know what I mean? And I don't know. I'm kind of like talking in circles, which is something that I do all the time, but
not made for a podcast.
No, not made for a podcast. But
you're like, wrap that shit up.
No. But I definitely think that all in all, we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to fix ourselves, instead of just letting ourselves become fixed. You know what I mean? Like, now, that being said, I also believe in therapy. So, and I was telling somebody this today. I'm like, if there's something habitually wrong with you and you don't know how to fix it,
you just want to use the word habitual in a sentence. You
habitual.
son of a... Yeah. You Charlie Murphy.
Habitual line.
Cross the line. Habitually.
But I believe that if there's something wrong with you and you just try to fix it by yourself, if you like say, okay, this is what's wrong with me and this is how I fix it, based off of your own logic, it's not going to get fixed. Right. Because it's your own, like, you don't, it's a subconscious thing that happens to you. You know what I mean? But I think that if you're just aware of it, right? And that little voice in your head, whenever you get in these situations, that little voice in your head is saying, hey, this is wrong with you, right? That's a good starting point. That's a good starting point to really, really getting past those issues. You know what the next point is? I think it's therapy, bro. I think it's therapy. At least getting somebody professional help, objective help.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Getting something outside your own head.
Yep.
There's a lot.
It's a lot to unpack, bro.
Well, I mean, you did your best.
I tried, bro. I tried. I also don't know shit. So I'm just speaking on my own experiences, bro.
No, that's listen. All we have the context of our own experiences to kind of guide everything. So whatever your experiences are, that's kind of how things are gonna go.
Yeah.
This is something that I've examined in my own life, and it's a weird dichotomy because this is all me, but it's like they're two opposing processes. Part of me is cool with the process of improving. This is maybe from doing comedy.
Yeah.
Even personal training. Like when I first became a trainer, I didn't know really how to train. I just knew how the body worked, but I didn't know how to relate to people, or at least how to convey my workouts to them in a way that felt fluid. I was like, okay, we just did a lower body push, which is like a lunge or a leg press or something. Now we gotta do an upper body pull, which is like a row or a pull up.
Right.
So for people who push pull is kind of our own jargon, but it was choppy because I didn't know what I was doing, but I wanted it to be perfect. But I understood, the next workout should be better. It should be better. So because I'm learning, I was cool with the process. Yeah. Comedy is very much the same thing. I'm working on a new bit now that I only got like 2 or 3 laughs on last night. It's a lot of quiet time on stage. Felt like a TED Talk. I'm not gonna lie to you.
It's a process, bro.
It was rough. It was a rough one. So I'm doing that, and I knew it's a new joke. And the issue with the joke, without getting too into the weeds, is that the joke is more profound than it is funny. And I think in a longer set, it will resonate. It'll be a big deal. The problem is that most mics in LA are like 5 minutes. Right. This is probably an 8-minute joke.
Right.
And so I was trying to figure out how to keep some profoundness and then some joke into it. And I haven't struck the balance. This is like a week-old joke. It's a brand new joke. Okay. And I have to sit with it. I have to get, ate up on stage a few times. You never get booed in comedy unless you're really famous.
Right.
But silence is worse.
Yeah.
So after the set, I was like, and some people were doing their old material. I've seen these comics for 2 or 3 years. They're doing their old material, getting laughs and chuckles.
Sure.
And the ego part is like, I want those laughs. I'm on stage to get laughs. I get that. But I decided, and you don't know this, but some of the listeners do. This year I decided to try to do new material as long as I could. Just abandon all my old material for the moment, just to force my brain to be creative. And what that does is it makes you crazy.
Yeah, I bet, bro.
Because you're used to, especially when you see a nice sized crowd, see a couple of honeys in the front row, like, what's up, ladies?
Yeah,
you want to get that giggle on, like,
sure,
oh my God,
sure.
you're so funny, take my Instagram, whatever. You want to get all that love. And then you hear people doing 4 or 5-year-old bits and they're crushing the room. And you're like, maybe this bit will be there in 4 or 5 years, but it's not there now.
Right.
And you're kind of forced me to be on stage a lot more often. Like, I've done 30 sets this year.
Yeah.
So far, which would have taken me maybe 3 months last year.
I was gonna ask you. So why? So what is it that? So why did you decide to do that? Why did you decide to like abandon all your and then just go fresh?
So I'm the type of person. I'm the kind of guy that I don't have a ton of vices. Like that's one because my parents had vices and it kind of was a thing.
Sure.
And so I avoided them, but even that in and of itself is a vice. So it's very cyclical logic here.
Right.
But I moved out here for entertainment. I didn't move out here to be a trainer. I didn't move out here to do podcasts. Although, what's up, y'all?
What's up?
But that's kind of what happened. And what I realized is that late last year, I was so busy trying to make money, so busy trying to build my training business, so busy because we were, still trying to write and do stuff. And after we shot, Premature, we wanted to, let's get back in the studio. We had all these ambitions to, get a Christmas album and all that stuff. We had all these thoughts and stuff. And I started getting further and further removed from the comedy side of it. I do think eventually I'll be on cameras and then commercials and all that kind of stuff. But in the short term, I'm a better comedian than I am anything else because I've been doing it for a long time. And naturally, I think I'm funny.
Yeah.
But I wasn't hitting stages like I was supposed to. I looked at 1 month. I think I may have done 8, 9 sets maybe. And it wasn't like I didn't have the time. I don't have kids. There's days I have to wake up early. And so it's like I don't want to go out too late and wake up at 5 because I'll be messed up for my clients. But a lot of days I was home watching Netflix, chilling, not working that hard.
Not doing nothing.
And I told myself I moved out here to be better at this. And then when I would go, but here's the thing, I would still go on stage and do my own material and get laughs. So I wouldn't be on stage for a week and I would do a show at Haha or the Comedy Store or whatever. And then I would get good responses like, yo, and then I have my own shows once a month. So I always wanted to be funny for my show. And people like, yo, man, you funny, man, you crushing it. And I'm just like, yeah, I still got it. But I wasn't improving. I was just doing what I know works. I'm just doing old hat kind of stuff. And I look back and I was like, I don't like the feeling of resting on my laurels. It's like Tom Brady being a 6-time champ. And people be like, that's 6-time champ Tom Brady, but Tom Brady today is a 43-year-old quarterback.
Right.
So, your track record is what it is. It's irrefutable. You got it. Today, going forward.
What are you going to do next?
What are you going to do next? And I said, I can't keep doing my same old stuff moving forward because I feel like that would mean that I have written my funniest stuff already. And if I think I've written my funniest jokes already, then I need to stop doing comedy.
Right.
That was a realization. I just sat one day. It's like, dude, you should be getting funnier.
Bro. That's, I mean,
you should be.
That's that's interesting, bro. Like, I'm not a comedian, so no. So hearing that is just like the only thing that I can do is like compare it to like the things that I do. You know what I mean? And so I think that's good for you, bro. No, honestly, like that's for me. That's like a lot of like, whoa, like
it was. I'm not gonna lie to you. It wasn't pleasant. It wasn't like it sounds like this cool epiphany and like, oh man, you really got back to your roots.
Yeah.
What it was self-reflection, and it was looking in the mirror and being like, because every year at the end of every year, I usually tape a video from the previous year and I watch it to see what I want to do the previous year, what
game
kind of thing.
film.
And I started looking at some of the things I wanted to do, some of the things I had done. Like, I never thought my show would last as long as it did, so I was super hype about that. And I wrote a couple of new bits during the year, but I didn't flush them out. I tried them for a couple of weeks. They didn't get the laughs immediately, and I was like, I deaded them. They may have been good bits. They may have been trash. Who knows? But it was a matter of what are you putting your energy towards the most? And I realized I was just putting it towards surviving. Like, my place is solid. Like, my car was all right.
I wanted to kind of ask about that.
Sure, get into it.
Because this has been something that I've been going through recently.
Okay.
Is, I started acting 10 years ago.
Oh, jeez.
Right? I started acting.
That was a long time ago.
Yeah, it was a long time ago.
Yeah.
I started acting 10 years ago. And 10 years ago, I had my sights on a very specific destination. Very specific, right?
Yeah.
And so for the longest time, I felt that I had to only put my energy into acting until I got to that destination.
The singular focus.
That I would sacrifice everything and just only, by any means necessary, get to that destination, right? And 10 years later, I'm looking at that and I'm kind of saying, or I've said, is that destination worth it now?
Oof.
And that's a real question. And that's a real feeling, because if you think about it, so many things happen in 10 years. Yeah, you're a different person. Different people come into your life. Different people leave your life. People are born. Different people will die. All of these different factors can change the way that you feel. And I wanted to say this because I was, I know for myself that I was battling with what's worth it. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And I know what it takes to get to where you want, at least in the acting industry. I know what it takes to get to so-called quote unquote destination,
Making it
right. Whatever that looks like,
right.
Which is a myth, which we'll get into maybe another time.
Yeah, probably.
But yeah, probably another time. But I was battling with that idea of like, okay, I'm happy with what I'm doing right now. If I looked at myself 10 years ago with the same idea, would I be mad at myself for thinking, you know what, like, I'm good? Do I want to sacrifice everything I have right now in this moment to keep chasing this quote unquote destination, this idea of success that I created 10 years ago? Or am I wanting to keep what I have now and like keep this happiness? And does that make sense?
Yeah, I hear
and I think that feeling especially came up because, like, you know, I've lost a lot of people over the years, and I know that like time is very, very important at this point. So now I'm like, okay, shoot. Over these 10 years of me chasing this destination, I've missed out on birthday parties, weddings, funerals. You know, I've missed out on time with my girl, time with my parents, time with my brother, like all these different things. And I'm looking back and I'm saying, like, dang, was that worth it for this thing that I'm pursuing?
So I'll say this. Yeah, I want to cut you off, Taylor.
No, please, because it's
no.
You know.
There's a couple ways to look at it. I'm gonna not even challenge a position. I'm just gonna pose a question. The realization you have now, the place you are now, where you're trying to figure out what's important, the value of time and people and that kind of thing. You wouldn't have that today had you not sacrificed for the last 10 years.
Exactly.
So is this current mentality worth the last 10 years? So even if you didn't make it to the destination in 10 years was built to be about.
Exactly. And so this current mentality is 100% worth it.
Then it was worth it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
but at the same time, you know, and so with that being said, like, it's not a feeling of regret. Like, I've regretted these past 10 years. I haven't. I've cherished them because I've gotten to where I am now in terms of the headspace.
Right.
But the big question is, okay, like, I've gotten a little success, but not the success that I saw for myself 10 years ago. You know what I mean? And so the big question is, okay, do I continue to sacrifice these things for this destination? It's basically like, do I still want the same things that I wanted 10 years ago? And the answer shouldn't be yes. In my opinion, the answer should be different from what it was 10 years ago. Because you've changed so much, you've grown so much, your priorities have shifted.
Right.
And I know that's been the biggest thing for me is my priorities have completely shifted. From, 10 years ago, I was like, okay, I want to be in this big, huge blockbuster movie, make millions of dollars, and, be rich and famous. How many times have you heard that, right?
A lot.
But, when I was 19, that's what I was saying, right? And now I'm, 29, and I'm like, okay, I don't want none of that anymore. Like, I'm cool. Like, I want kids, and I want to be married, and I want stability, and
Can you do both though? Or maybe a better question,
with the time, because that's the thing. I want these things sooner than later. You know what I mean? And I know that there are certain things that take longer than others. Sure. Like, let's keep it a buck, bro.
Right.
This entertainment industry is a lottery.
Of course,
if you want those things, you can't play the lottery and hope for them. If you want them sooner than later, because you
get lucky.
You have no but
you get lucky.
But
really.
But are you trying to? That's a gamble. Right? Are those things worth gambling? For me, no. Those things aren't worth gambling. Right. Those things are worth building. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And I think that there are certain ways to build those things, and there are certain and then you can gamble them. you know. And I'm not for the gambling part. I'm like, okay, I gotta build those things.
It sounds like you're growing up a little bit.
Yeah, bro.
That's what it sounds
bro,
like.
It's
like
I
we're
mean,
growing up, and so
when you go through this, this city in itself and like how it is, bro. Things change, bro. You know, and to like kind of wrap up what I'm saying, like the only thing, like the big pillars that made me realize this is when I booked All American. I booked that small little, literally 15 minutes of fame, or 15 seconds of fame.
I remember I saw it.
And when I did the show for the Fringe Festival, I did the play for the Fringe Festival. Those things happened very close to each other, and it just kind of made me realize, like, you know, me having like that theater background, how much more I enjoy theater and being on stage than I did being on set. Because, you know, when you get booked for a TV show, you have these expectations of glory, and the bag is about to be huge, and I made it, and but that's not what it was, and that's not what it is, and it's not, you don't get there the way that you think you're gonna get there.
Sure.
Like you said, it's lucky. I was very lucky to get booked. Like, you guys don't even know how that happened. I'm not gonna get into it, but it was luck.
Yeah.
And, you know, me being the Fringe Festival, you know, we won Best Comedy for 500 plays, bro. Like, but that's my element. That's like something that I like to do, is being on stage. So I realized, like, I weighed out the things. And I'm like, dang, like, this is something that I can do anytime I want to. Theater is something I can do anytime I want to, and I enjoy it.
So you're gonna reallocate the energy you were using towards being a movie star, towards just being a more
bro. There's no amount of energy you can allocate to being a movie star that's gonna make you more likely to be a movie star, other than you're gonna sit there and wait for your phone to ring.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now, there's a difference between, you can write a movie and you can film it yourself and you can call yourself a movie star, which I highly encourage everybody to do. Is just create your own content. But you can't just sit there and wait for the phone to ring and hope that you book this big thing and post pictures on IG all the time.
Right.
That's a waste of energy. You know, so I think allocate your energy to something that makes you happy, and that you can look back and be like, I enjoyed that. I enjoyed that moment. You know, I enjoyed that, and I want to have access to do that over and over again, and I want to be able to control that opportunity. So
I think part of what colors how you see it is the fact that you're in a stable long-term relationship, and
that'll change a lot of things too.
Well, we know. Shout out to you, girl.
Hey, bro.
But a lot of it, for a lot of people who are doing this, they don't have those commitments, and so their sacrifice is really their own sanity, their sleep schedule, and humility, probably.
Sure.
Those are the biggest things. It's like, because you can get turned down for 20 roles. You're like, 21, here I come. You got to take a lot of L's, and you have to have your ego in enough check to do all that stuff, and then be able to persevere and keep going through it. What you're doing is what a lot of people out here do. There are people who you've seen in TV and movies who have regular jobs. You're like, what are you doing for a regular job? It's like, well, I still have kids.
Right.
And that regular job was a lick, and I thought that, like the guy who did Aladdin, like he said he can't get casted anymore. The star of Aladdin was like, I can't get casted, but the girl was in the next Charlie Angels movie right afterwards.
Yeah,
and of course Will Smith is Will Smith.
Yeah.
But he was like, I was Aladdin, they won't cast me. But I'm sure when he got that call, he was like, Aladdin is a global movie. I'm going to be like the guy from Slumdog Millionaire, just be that guy, and he just never went. So it's so in that industry, it's a little bit different. Comedy is a little bit more controllable.
Sure, absolutely, because you can get up anytime you want.
I can perform whenever I want. Now you don't just get paid whenever you want.
Nah.
But as a traveling comedian, you make some money.
Right.
You'll make some money. Even early on, you'll be on someone else's tour. You'll make maybe 50 to 75 a show, some low level stuff like that. But you get to get exposure. And then when you get moved to a feature act, you get 150, 200, whatever. Right. And at a certain point, there's a lot of comedians who you have never heard of.
Right.
You just drive past them. They have, a little Prius, and they're making $50K a year doing comedy.
And they're good.
And they're chilling. Because it's like, I can make $50,000 doing comedy, or I can have 2 side hustles in LA.
Bro.
But I get to do comedy with always a possibility that I'll do a festival and be seen by someone and say, hey, do you want to be the 4th lead on the show because we saw you have a face that we
Mhm.
like, or we like your comedy style, and then it can parlay.
It's like T.J. Miller, bro.
TJ Miller's been around for a long time. He was in
Well, he was in a bunch of movies, bro.
what was that the movie
Office Christmas Party.
I would say Cloverfield.
He was in Cloverfield.
Yeah, that's what I remember him from.
Yeah.
But yes, he's been in a lot of and now he's headlining a show here this week. I think I saw him.
Yep.
Maybe the Comedy Store was a show like that.
But that's one of the things. He has his own podcast with Cash Levy, but basically he talks about that, like how he kind of stepped away from Silicon Valley and all these movies.
Yeah,
He's a touring, he's headlining
it's a big deal.
comedian,
There's
but,
money,
but that's
too.
because he loves it, that's because that's what he prefers to do.
Yeah.
So.
Nah, she's not that into you. I remember he was in that. Yeah. So it's a. This is on my side. I'm not like committed and all that. I'm in the streets.
Yeah. Hey, look, bro.
But part of my archetype, part of my personality is, and one of the flaws I've had is that I've given all my energy to only a couple things in life.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm good at giving some of my energy to a lot of things and getting good results from them.
That's good.
It was good for life, but it's not necessarily good for like big ambitions.
Sure.
Meaning, I could say, all right, I really want to get an A in this class this semester or whatever.
Right.
And I'll give it the energy and I'll get the A. But once I got the A, I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily I want to get an A all the time or whatever.
Right,
it's just the idea that I can tap into it.
That you can do it.
Even like baking that pie.
Right.
Like, I never baked a pie in my life,
Mm-hmm.
and I just decided I want to bake a pie.
Yeah.
It was just woke up on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Wasn't a special day. And I went down the YouTube rabbit hole for 4 hours.
Hey.
I was looking at everything. I'm talking about, because there's a lot of different recipes out there. So I make apple pies, whatever. And Big Wolf, you want to fight about it? And things like there's a lot of different types of apples, and the apples determine how it comes out. But not all the apples you buy are made for pies.
Sure.
And so looking at how to do the crust, that's the biggest thing, is how to make the dough. Most people just buy a pre-made dough and put the filling in. The filling is easy.
Right.
Making the crust is the hard part.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where most of my research went. And what recipes do I think will make the right pie? And I went down the rabbit hole and I made a pie and it was too tart. I made it with Granny Smith apples, whatever.
Oh.
That's my favorite apple, but it was too tart for the pie.
Yeah.
Then I got the Honeycrisp apples, which is the best actually.
Fire.
They're fire. And I made a pie and I brought it to...
You gotta try Envy apples, by the way.
Bro, whatever. So I made the pie and I brought it to a function that had a bunch of girls at it. And I put the pie on the counter. I was just like,
ladies, y'all want this pie?
do you like pie?
Boy.
And they ate it and said, oh my God, who made this pie? This is delicious. And I was just like, and that was the second time in life I made a pie. It was just that.
Oh, that's so funny.
It was just that I think I have a decent palate. But I've never been a baker.
Sure.
My mom is a chef. That's what she does.
Yeah.
But I've always thought, if I want to make something good, if I want to make a dope omelet or some kind of, I can do it.
Yeah.
I just never tried enough. Comedy is a different thing where, since I was like...
Of course it is. It's not pie.
Hold up, man.
I'll let you get to... Okay, what?
Let me live. Comedy is different in the sense that, since I was a kid, I mean like 6 or 7,
Mm-hmm.
I've only had a couple thoughts that keep being in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Because my brain is scattered on some level. Like, I don't control how all the thoughts come in.
Sure.
And so I'm a little bit scatterbrained on some level, but I'm focused when I need to be. Which just makes me a good student. I can just kind of like do, and then like, oh, we had a final exam. Lock in.
Yeah.
But in this case, when I was a kid, I'm talking 6, 7, 8 years old, I always saw myself performing.
Mm-hmm.
From theaters to big screens to TV to stand-up. It wasn't... I didn't have a particular one. You said you want to be like a movie star type dude.
Right.
I saw myself in movies, but I never thought that's where it would stop. I thought it would be TV. I thought it would be in endorsements. I thought it would be
Sure.
as a radio personality. Whatever it was. I just saw myself in entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
It's the only thought that's like prevailed my whole life.
Sure.
Because I want to be like, start a football player. I did the whole college thing.
Sure.
Got injured, which is how I became a trainer.
Right.
So I was like, well, you can't play football. I was like, all right, cool. Well, I'm in shape. Let me be a trainer.
Facts.
But I gave all my energy to football. So when I couldn't play, then it was sad.
Yeah.
But it wasn't debilitating because I realized I was doing 2 a day, 6 days a week, eating well. Like I was, hey, you want to go to the club? Nah, man, I got to work out. I got to try out in 2 weeks. Like I was that good guy.
Yeah.
And it just didn't go. And so when it didn't go, I was
Yeah.
sad. I think I probably cried in my car
Sure.
on some Lifetime Network stuff.
Hey, Friday stuff. You gonna cry in the car.
I was that guy. But when it was all said and done, I was like, I tried my hardest.
Yeah,
I played
bro.
through injuries. I tried to come back early.
Yeah,
I would
bro.
ice and heat for 4 or 6 hours. I did ice baths, even though I hate cold.
Yeah.
I did whirlpools. I did everything I knew how to do.
Mhm.
Even what trainers were telling me. And it wasn't my thing.
Yeah, bro.
So when it didn't work, I was good. I didn't have regrets. I wasn't that
Right.
guy that was like,
You
I'm
gave
just
it- you gave
XFL guy. I let it
You
die.
gave it your all, bro. You
Yeah.
gave it everything that you wanted to give it,
Yeah.
bro.
And
That's yeah.
And so my biggest thing is if you give what you want, if you say you want it, you have the desire, you have the plan and all that stuff in place, you give everything to it and it doesn't go, then there's no regret.
Right.
Because comedy is such a game where we get to meet famous type people.
Yeah.
I shake hands with these people and the idea of, hey, can I open for you? Yeah, man, come get 5 on my show.
Right.
And be seen by the same audience who saw him. And
Right.
the idea that people can be like, yo, that young dude's funny.
Yeah.
And you can get some kind of buzz from it and it can start parlaying itself into more
But
roles.
you have control over that.
You have control over that. So
Yeah.
it's a weird. So you say, why did you do all this stuff? It's
Mm-hmm.
because I went to a couple festivals. I saw a couple big time comedians,
Mhm.
and I stopped thinking that there's a couple who I think are a tier or 2 or 3 or whatever above me. I watched Bill Burr like a month ago,
Bro, he's
and Bill Burr's
he's
in
the
it.
goat, bro.
He's in a league of his own.
He's the
I
goat,
sat in the
bro.
front row of a comedy show to watch him, and I just was like, and just the way, and he was working on some new stuff. I think it's gonna be on his next hour special.
Mhm.
I just watched him, and I was like,
That's what it
I'm
is.
watching 30 years of being on stage. That's what I was watching.
That's a fact, bro.
And it was one of the first times in a long time I saw somebody and thought they are a lot better than me. There are people who have funnier bits. I'm like, that's a good bit. But I never think like,
Yeah.
man, that person's way better than me. It's
Why
just
do you think that? Why do you think he's so much better than you?
there was a one he's super confident on stage.
You don't
He's
feel,
very-
you don't feel confident on stage.
Well, I didn't say that. I said he's
I was
super
gonna say.
confident.
I was gonna say. Well,
No.
I mean, as your friend, like,
Yeah.
of course, I'm gonna gas you up. But like, objectively,
yeah.
like, you're confident on stage as well.
No, I'm confident. It's different. It's like this is a better example. Most of my analogies end up being about dating because
Because hey,
it's just something we all do and something we've all done.
sure.
The idea of if I said, hey, get a girl's number, and you've gotten a number 100 times,
Mm-hmm.
you have 10 to 15 different ways to get a number.
Sure.
You can just be the blunt guy. Yo, can I holler at you? Gotta get your number? She's like,
Right.
now.
Right.
You could be like, hey, excuse me, miss. I thought you were beautiful. Can I get your number?
Mhm.
You can ask your friend, hey, give my number to your friend. There's a lot of ways you can go about getting it because you've
Absolutely.
done it a lot of times.
Yeah.
But when you first started trying to get numbers, you probably went about it one blunt way.
Mm-hmm.
Like you try to do, it's like the bear, deer, and rabbit thing, which we're not gonna get into today.
Right.
But
I
you
know it.
you go about it one way because you only have one way of going about it.
Okay.
Because the show that I saw Bill at, the crowd changed a couple different times during the show, and as a comic, you kind of
Wow.
feel it. And he felt it on stage and pivoted on the fly. He came out being very like, he kind of trashed like women and some other stuff.
Uh-huh.
Things that normally get you in LA kind of booed.
Yeah.
And he pulled back and he was like, all right. And he just like, he
went
just
another
went, he went
way.
a different way. And it wasn't like, he didn't have to trash the audience to change courses. He
Sure.
just bend it. And then he
Yeah.
eventually got back to his material, but he had to build up some goodwill. I
Yeah.
think because of his name, you naturally assume that the crowd's with you.
Right.
But they
right.
weren't with him at first because
Nah.
his first couple jokes weren't about things they were cool about.
Yeah.
But he bent away and then he came back.
Interesting.
And then once he had him back, then he took it up a notch and some people came with him and then he stayed with those people for a little bit and came back to the crowd. It was just a matter of, and it was an hour. So I got to see him over the course of an hour.
Wow.
And he did a little bit of like intro crowd work
Mhm.
to kind of change the tempo a little bit.
Mhm.
It was really just, it's like these little master classes they have.
Sure.
That was, it was a on the fly master class on. He never deviated from his material.
Right.
He just was smooth. He just maneuvered around the people better.
Yeah.
And I think 'cause I've been on stage for like
It's all about the audience with him.
I've been on stage for like 7 or 8 years,
Sure.
and I've got to the point where I can do crowd work. I think in most rooms,
Mhm.
I can talk to the people, get responses, and kind of give it back. There are, and I don't get booed or heckled,
Sure.
but I think I may only have 2 or 3 ways to play a set,
Mhm.
and he may have 50, and so in my ways, like I will go this way, and if the crowd doesn't feel me, I may be self-deprecating. I may be deprecating to the crowd. Cool. If the crowd's feeling me, I may just ride that wave and kind of abandon my set for a little bit, then go to my set later on.
Right.
If their crowd's being prickly, jump into my set, hope to get instill goodwill, then go back to the people. Like there's a lot of different outs of it.
Right.
You're doing all this on the fly. You don't know how any particular set's going to go.
Okay.
And I think in his world, he has a set. He has an hour-long set.
Mm-hmm.
I have jokes.
You have. I see. Okay.
So because I don't have. Yeah.
You think. Well, correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like having more time allows you more control of the, I guess, the jokes, I guess. Like more control. The more time you have, the more time you have to control the room.
Yeah.
It seems like, and when you have less time,
Yeah.
then you kind of have to boom, boom, boom as fast. You have to win the crowd as fast as possible.
There's a lot of elements to that. And
Interesting.
here's the problem, though. You only get more time when you earn more time doing the smaller rooms.
So you gotta. So it's like the difference between, like, I used to do improv, and so it's like the difference between what they call like improv games,
Yes.
and a herald.
Yeah.
A herald is long form improv,
Right.
where you have like a whole narrative and you have improv game, but they're two completely different beasts in their own. Like you have people that are good at the games, you have people that are good at the long form improv. It's like you have to specialize in one.
Yeah.
But in the comedy world, it just sounds like to get to be a long form specialist, you have to specialize in this one first.
You have to perfect the first couple levels.
Gotcha.
And when people get elevated too quickly, it falls apart over a course of an hour. So if you watch Netflix, and something I know most of you guys do, when you watch a special, you can tell how polished a person's hour is by how long the hour goes.
Right.
The hour's supposed to be an hour. So if they finish in between 57 and an hour, then they have it pretty polished.
Yeah.
If they finish at 51 minutes,
They're
then that means that over the course of, because you end up working on the set for like 6 months. So, if not longer. So if you've been doing this set for 6 months and you haven't timed it out well, it shows up in the special.
Right.
You might go over a little bit if like something happens in the crowd during your special and you go with it.
Right.
But like you can check the timestamps. Like they say his special and it's 58 minutes, an hour and 2 minutes. They've worked that and gotten it clean to that point.
Yeah.
But when you see a special and it's like 47 minutes, it's supposed to be an hour, then where did that 13 minutes go?
happened?
Because you get paid for the hour.
Right.
And because my sets are usually shorter and I don't have like a full set, because this is part of the process. My jokes don't necessarily piggyback off each other.
Right.
And this is what made me think I got to start being better. 'Cause I've been trying to be funny for 7 years. And I've gotten some funny bits, like the two-way bit and working at Wendy's and the chicken bit from the first special this year. Like all these little things are funny. But none of them are related. They're experiences I had that I thought people could relate to, they would like. But they haven't been like puzzle pieces.
Sure.
But when you do a special, you don't want 10 disjointed jokes. You want 5 or 6 cohesive ones. Or if you're disjointed, that's your shtick. Hey, you never know what I'm gonna say. Hey, I'm the Hey, what are you gonna do? You're that guy.
Right.
And so this year made me start thinking for the first time how to like string it all together, not force it with weird transitions. And all that.
Right. Yeah.
Just have jokes that connect. And I started doing my comedy clean over the last 6 months.
You told me about that.
So now I'm not cursing. I don't have the luxury of doing that.
Nice.
But cursing is a really useful tool on stage, and when you don't have it, there are times when it wants to come, and I gotta like find a different word on the fly. So when I watched him do an hour, and he knew what he was trying to get to, and he knew there would be rough patches throughout, and he just had it calibrated a little bit. So I watched him work the crowd for an hour. The longest I've ever done is 30 minutes, and I remember sweating a lot at like 17 minutes.
Really?
Not like I couldn't do it. I had 30 minutes of material, but I had only been on stage for maybe 12 to 15 minutes up to that point. I did like a 12-minute set, and someone's like, do you want to do a feature 30-minute set? And I was like, yeah, I'll do that all day. And so what happened is the first 10 were really strong. And the middle 10 was a little dicey.
What do you think happened? Was it just disconnected?
The jokes weren't connected.
Ah, okay.
The first 10 minutes were about working in the gym, and it's 2 separate 5-minute bits that I had perfected, but both were about the gym.
Yeah.
So they felt like it was one long good joke.
Got you.
But they were written 2 years apart. It just, you don't know when jokes are written on stage. So that part was clean, but then I transitioned to like dating. And in retrospect, I've dated girls at the gym. I should have gone into that. Because then it feels like it could be 15 clean minutes because it's still gym is a through line.
I was going to say, correct me if I'm wrong, because I'm not a comedian.
Right.
But like when we opened out this podcast, how did we get to where we were? Like, how did we get to where we got when we talking about like the Super Bowl? When we talk about my music, we got to J-Lo, we got to Super Bowl, then we got to like, correct me if I'm wrong, but like that's the way it's almost like a train of thought that is completely random, but it all connects. Yeah. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong again, but it seems like people connect to the fact that like, yeah, I've gone on a tangent and like gone on a train of thought that connected, and I think maybe that's what people think is funny. And like it's just that connection of like, I see how we got here.
There's some humor and tangential thought for sure. So if you're going off on a tangent, you kind of be at random. There's something funny about that, and there's something funny about being on a or seemingly being on a tangent, and you're not. Like it sounds like he's talking about randomness, but then you just know like you're throwing a curveball that's going to eventually land in the middle of the plate. But you just got to go through this whole rigmarole to get back to the center point. And that's kind of what the new bit I'm working on now is. The beginning of it is so... I'll even give you the premise of it because the joke is very early, and I don't even know if I'll use this down the line. The joke is about white woman entitlement. All right? So even as a premise, it's ridiculous. So the joke's about woman entitlement, but the way I started is about talking about how hard it is to be white today. In society. Yeah. Because
that's already hilarious.
It's funny because I'm like the darkest dude ever.
You're right.
So it's just so hard to be white these days because you can't say or do anything, especially as a guy. Yeah. Even when you do good things. I used a little throwaway bit last night. I think I actually kind of like where it's like you can give to charity, but people on social media be like, yeah, but you stole that money from slaves anyway. So it's like that kind of a throwaway thing. But it didn't get laughs last night. But I was like, I actually kind of like that part. I'll probably keep it in for future shows. Yeah. And I talked about. People think good is good if it's good for them. That's my belief. I don't think people as moral as they try to profess. I don't think people really have that many other agendas other than doing what's in their singular best interest. So, like Chappelle had this bit about, I'm not for abortion, but if it's my situation, I am. It's kind of like in that vein where it's like, as a black dude, I don't relate to white entitlement because I'm not black. Yeah. But if white entitlement could help me... Yeah, because I'm not white. Yeah. But if white entitlement could help me, then in that moment, I'll be for it. Right. And then I tell this story about how I got helped by somebody's white entitlement. Yeah. And then towards the end, and this is the part I didn't work on last night because I didn't have enough time on stage. Sure. Where the point ultimately is, I don't know if the fact that there's privilege and entitlement is the bad thing. I think you can have it as long as you spread the wealth a little bit. Right. Or I want the luxury of being as entitled as a white person is. Like something towards that point. Yeah. But the middle part of the story is randomized. Like it gets to the top.
No, that's
but the full scope of the joke, I think is good. I think there's something profound in it. And I think the idea, it definitely changed my perspective because when you hear privilege and you hear all that stuff, it's always negative. You never, just like stereotypes. Stereotypes are usually negative, right? But they do work out sometimes. Like I've heard some comment back in the day, but like I always get picked first in basketball, but I don't know how to play basketball. Right. But I'm black. Yeah. That's a positive thing. I'm never the last guy. Like guys, I can play.
Yeah. I've always been drawn to that, like that type of comedy of just like. I mean, Bill Burr is like probably my second favorite comedian next to
Bill Burr's an animal.
He's next to Chappelle, but like he does this thing where he just like he'll take the most unpopular opinion and almost convince you to believe like, oh shit, like actually
that's kind of,
he's not wrong.
That's kind of the thing.
You know what I mean? Like and I think the thing that really gets me about Bill Burr is he'll literally take the worst thing you can think of and turn you for it. Like I'm pretty sure like he's convinced people that like Nazis are good. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just based on it, because his perspective, you know,
Yeah,
he'll take
yeah.
time to like pick apart like, you know, every single perspective that could exist.
Sure.
And like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think that might be like what you're saying is just kind of like
I'm trying to get there.
taking something, and I'm not saying you have to say something any super
Yeah,
absurd.
I'm not doing
but I'm
any
saying, but like
Nazis.
just like offering that like
Yeah.
that perspective that like nobody's really thought of before. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because I've also seen comedy where like, you know, back in the Bay, I like went on a terrible comedy show, but basically somebody just like said something where I was just like, yeah, no shit, we feel that way. You know what I mean? Like something like, oh man, like you know, black people are crazy. You know, like we
Black
just
people are crazy.
we just so you know so quick to spend our money. It's like we know, bro. But that's in like that'll keep me quiet. I'm just like, I've heard this. I know this.
That's
you know what I mean?
That's an old take.
Yeah.
I think like what you're alluding to is trying to find a new way of looking at an old situation or finding something truly original. And I think I've defaulted to my own personal stories because they're original to me.
Sure.
Even if you can kind of put yourself in it, it happened to me, so the story resonates.
Yeah.
I think my brain is trying to, because again, this is how you get inspired is how you get inspired.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
I think my brain partly is saying, try to find some maybe unpopular or unoriginal or original points and then like remix it because those lend themselves to more conversations. Because the bit I did at the show a few weeks ago is about how women have to hold men more accountable in the dating world because we're falling behind because women are so nurturing and so caring, they're allowing us to. And if they don't push us harder, we won't be better. Right. Then I tell this wild story about my friend living in a closet, which is true.
but that's the like you didn't even have to go into the joke. Like
right.
You don't have to say anything else. Like that's hilarious, bro.
Like,
because I've never even heard of that.
You never heard of it, and what you don't hear usually is guys telling women to hold us accountable. You hear women saying, "Guys ain't nothing. Y'all gotta be better." And guys out there like, "No, we're trying our best," and we get defensive immediately. To hear a dude say, "Y'all gotta hold us accountable," and then give real reasons behind it.
Yeah.
But even that bit is probably that bit's probably 7 minutes long.
Sure.
But it definitely has room to be a 15-20 minute bit. And I think that's why my brain is going towards these kind of jokes.
I also think that, again, correct me if I'm wrong, but I also think that with that specifically, it really depends on the room you're in. Because with that, it's one opinion or the other. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like you can have like the dudes holding women accountable, that's what
I'm saying. Like that's down the line. That's
where dudes are holding women accountable or women are holding dudes accountable. Like with that topic itself, there's two options. You know what I mean? So you better like if you're gonna go with one, you better make sure the room you're in is with the opposite.
So here's my view on this.
Yeah.
Because the closet joke in and of itself. And this is not a euphemism. It's a real closet.
Sure.
It's so ridiculous that even if you disagree with the premise, you ride with the joke.
Exactly, because it's ridiculous.
But to your point, and that's why I'm saying I think this has a long track record. The way I think the joke is going to eventually go when I have a 15-20 minute set is I talk about women got to hold us more accountable, and I go into it. And then you say, but fellas, you got to hold them accountable, and I have a story almost equal to the one I just told.
Yeah.
And so they piggyback each other.
Okay.
Now, right now, the closet story has been pretty polished. I've been doing it. It's like 5-6 weeks old. But I think it's a good bit. It's super original.
Yeah.
There's a lot of punchlines, outs to the joke. The close of it is okay. But if it's really just a close to get to the next bit, then I think it's fine. If I end there, it's probably not perfect.
Right.
But the idea that something like that is open-ended, there's enough jokes. If I talk about this crazy date I went on yesterday, when that date story is done, there's not 10 to 15 more minutes on that.
Right.
It's just the date. If I talk about I've had some crazy dates with S on it, then I can tell 2 or 3 bad dates in a row, but that kind of gets monotonous.
Right.
So in this case, I think that little 7-minute bit about women holds more accountable is funny. I have to sit and like write a men holding women more accountable things. I think there's a lot of material in that. And if I do those back to back, that's probably going to be a 12 to 15 minute set.
Yeah.
And if you have 1 or 2 more good jokes, you have a 30-minute special.
Right.
Because, and they're going to hear this first, and you too.
Yeah.
Randomly, when I was in Miami, I had the idea to do 2 separate 30-minute specials this year. And
That's dope, bro.
but I've never shot a special before. Maybe you should have. Whatever, I haven't.
Whatever.
But I had the idea of spending the first 6 months polishing up all this new stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Shoot a special, taking the best 30 minutes from whatever I come up with.
Yeah.
Then I have the whole second half of the year to promote that special, do all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe sell it off, maybe get whatever.
Sure.
You send it to clubs, maybe get booked for some stuff.
Dude, yeah.
But then spend that next half a year trying to top that first 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
and then
bro.
tape another one like in December, so June and December.
Bro.
One probably on the East Coast, so maybe the June one will be in Florida because whatever. Maybe even December because family will be in town. I'll figure out which one.
Well, yeah, I was gonna say, bro. Like, I think as we've seen, the reach. Like, if it's about getting in front of more people, then having something to kind of put on the internets and get to everybody possible. Get on the interwebs, get on that scape.
Yeah,
is the internet's just gonna get it in front of more eyes. You know what I mean?
Can only help.
And and I think people love watching specials, bro. People love no matter what. But again, if they're funny, it doesn't matter where the special is. You know what I mean? Like,
true.
What's his name? Kevon whatever. Kevon Stage is his handle.
Oh yeah.
His Instagram handle. I saw on the interwebs I saw it on Instagram that it was on YouTube, but he shot his own special in like this church or whatever.
Yeah, you can. There's plenty of places. You have to put a little bit of money up.
Well, that's exactly what he did. He put money up, and bro, it was funnier than half the specials I've seen on Netflix.
There's a lot of funny people who aren't on right now.
But that's what I'm saying, and I guarantee you that he's gonna get opportunities off of that. You know what I mean? Like, Netflix is probably gonna come back and be like, "Hey, yo, we saw this. Like, let's work out a deal." But we just needed. This is a huge thing that I think people really, really don't think about is proof of concept.
Right.
If you want people to invest in you, bro, you better have something that shows. This is Shark Tank, bro. This is Shark Tank. Where your numbers at? What are your numbers? If you ain't got no numbers, why would we give you money, bro? That's what it comes down to.
Looking for a $400,000 stake, you haven't sold us one product yet.
Exactly, but that's and so that's I know that you're funny. You know what I mean? And I think that you don't really have to prove that you're funny. You just have to prove that you can get those numbers. You know what I mean? And while like you take the time to perfect your craft by going up on stage and like, you do that, and I know that about you, right? But I think that the thing that, at least if you want to get to where I think you want to be, is it's just a matter of marketing, bro.
That's the biggest part.
It's just
I'm not great at
like you've been doing this long enough to, like, your circle knows you're funny, your people know you're funny, anybody who's seen you knows you're funny. Yeah. It's just a matter of letting other people know that you're funny. You just need to get more people to know who you are, and
that's what this podcast is.
Exactly.
Kind of like, how do you get your information out?
Exactly. And because stand up is what you do. That's what you're what I consider you're a master at, bro. And I think that if you have proof of concept, the proof that you are a master at stand up, which is, shooting your own special, putting the money up, getting people to put the money up. Your circle's big enough to the point where you could get people to put the money up for you.
Oh yeah, people will put a little something up.
You know what I mean?
There's people who do favors, and we know people.
Exactly.
There's a lot of ways.
You got circles. You got people. I mean, you got people that support you all day. So that's what I'm saying. Like, you can get your own special, shoot it, and then all you have to do is just watch those numbers come in and be like, "Yo, there's this dude," and then word of mouth. But next thing you know, bro, you won't have to be looking for opportunities anymore. People will be hitting you up, and you'll just be like, "Oh yeah, like, cool. I'm glad you saw this. Like, and then you can say, like, what's next?" You know what I mean?
You're getting out you're getting out to the furthest level of what this is going to be. But yeah, I just gave you the little.
You just gave me a little where we're at now in the process of.
I gave you where you at.
I'm excited, bro.
Because we're wrapping this up now, so we can continue this off.
Yeah.
But,
well, I'm excited about that, bro.
Well, listen, I'm excited for the challenge because this is. I think the cool thing about deadlines, and if you have kids or employees or whatever, deadlines do one or two things. They either stress you out because you can't match it, or you rise to perform at it, right? That's kind of what the whole point of it is. It's the clutchness factor.
Yeah.
Are you clutch or not? You the dude that scores 30 points all year and gets to the playoffs and goes 0 of 12 from the field, like Trevor Ariza did or something like that.
Right.
Which is true.
Right.
Or James Harden, where you just start missing shots. You just can't do it.
Right.
Or you the person that you rise and you get better. It's like, yo, in the clutch, he was in his bag, that kind of thing.
Right.
In this case, and I'll have to look at the calendar to find out what the exact dates are. Because I think once I know a clear date, let's say it's, I don't want to do like Juneteenth, but it's something like that.
Hey, bro. I'm with it, bro.
Right, like that just happened.
Picture you and a dashiki or some shit. Bro.
And then
Kente Clop, you know what I'm saying?
And then in December, my mom's birthday is on the 12th. So maybe and she's never seen me perform. So I think that would be,
bro,
that's just crazy. Don't get me started. I think it'd be crazy though to do a special on her birthday in my hometown.
Hey,
there's something.
If you tell me in advance enough, I'll buy a ticket for that, bro. I'll fly out to go see that.
I think that would be awesome. So like this is.
You got my support, bro.
Hey, and we're gonna get the people's support, but we're gonna wrap this up. We have been riding out this podcast.
Hey, you know what we do. You know what I do.
Listen,
it's me, bro. I'm sorry.
Listen, hopefully people are still listening.
It's me, bro. I'm sorry. I fucked this whole podcast up.
You're fine. We got into some good concepts and they got personal. I think they understand what the situation is. Some of my podcasts are like 20-ish minutes.
I was gonna say, how long are
these?
these supposed to be?
There's no limit to it.
Okay.
They go between 20 minutes and an hour. It depends. If I have a guest, it usually goes closer to an hour. If
you
it's
remember
solo,
my old podcast?
Yeah,
there was no limit. I had one where I was on there for like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I'm not Joe Rogan. It's like, hey, you guys take TMT now. But this has been dope. You can sign off. Where can people find you?
Hey, look, man, I'm back on IG. I took like a 9-month hiatus, so you can find me on Instagram at Everett Daily. That's literally it. It's EVERETTDAILEY. Find me on Instagram. You can also tune into Color Radio. Said that at the beginning of the show. Please just support the show. It's really, I don't get paid from it. I don't get any endorsements. I probably never will because of legal things. You know, you can't get paid off of other people's music. I really just do it because I love it. So just please listen to Color Radio. You know, get some good R&B. You know what I'm saying? Get your girl.
What?
Cup your man. Cup your chick. You know what I'm saying? But that's where you can find me, bro.
Well, you guys know where to find me. Chris Kane, Sexy Comedy, all that good stuff. Thank you guys for listening, tuning in. If you have any questions, hit us up on social media. We can answer them for you. And when these dates get put out for these specials and that kind of stuff, then we'll let you guys know. And when you do your performance, which we'll do, because I got shows the rest of the year.
Yeah.
So you got like 9 more chances to get on stage. And when you have your performance, we'll tell people.
I'm terrified. But
well,
okay.
Why wouldn't you be? But also, how exhilarating is that to be on stage?
Hey, bro. I'm just cool playing the piano in my room, bro. Honestly, I'll just post some clips on IG.
Whatever, dude. We're doing this. Even if you do one song, I may want to do a joke to your piano music. You know, man. It might be a John Mayer, Dave Chappelle situation.
Hey, bro.
Yeah,
I remember that.
They did it last year. They do it all the time.
Oh, they do it?
Yeah.
Remember when
it just pop up?
Remember when what's his face? Daniel Caesar. Remember that? That was the funniest shit. Very gay. He was so mad. Very gay.
Stupid. All right, guys. Thank you for tuning in. We'll see you guys next time.
Peace.
Deuces.